everybody from the Nala Pakana Divya Garden. Honey is the camera person today, and we are bringing you another lovely video from Nala Pakana. Now today what I wanted to talk to you about is the Faerie Energy. Some people also call it the elemental energy, or the Deva or Devic energy. So basically, you know, a lot of people say, you know, oh, I don't believe in fairies and whatnot. And that's a very children's idea of fairies. But fairies actually do exist, but they are probably not what you imagine them to be, which is sort of like little things that little girls like, going around with little wands and little pink dresses on. And that's a lovely image we bring to mind, and it certainly does encapsulate a lot of their energy and a lot of the feeling that they give, but they actually have a really important role to play in the garden. And what the Faerie energy, the elemental energy, does is it helps the plants. Honey, I need you to keep that nice and still. You're moving it around a lot still. Oh my God. Okay, you right now? Okay, Honey's been asked to keep it nice and still, so we'll see how she goes with that. Okay, so the elemental energy is a really important part. It's a really important element to being able to have a healthy garden, and to be in tune with our natural world. It's absolutely vital, and it's important because we can see these beings as the managers, really, of the natural world. They're the ones that look after, like a mummy does a little baby. They look after the seed. They help the plants to grow. They help the plants. So when the plants grow, you can imagine this leaf here. It actually makes a blueprint first, and then this physical form grows into that blueprint. Now the Faerie energy oversee that process. They help the plant to grow into what it needs to grow into. They support and hold the space for the plant kingdom. They're incredibly important. Okay, so when we are gardening, we need to keep this in mind, and we need to understand that whilst we are physical gardeners, they garden as well on a bit of a different level, on a bit of a different dimension, as you will, but they play a vital role. Now, it is no surprise, Honey, can you please stop moving? It is no surprise that when we work together, when we have these physical people working with the elemental fairy beings of a different dimension, when we all work together, that things are going to be so much better. So one of my favorite books that I started off with is a book called The Findhorn Garden. It was published many, many years ago, and that book is absolutely fabulous, and that is a really, really good introduction to you learning more about how the elementals help us to grow a garden. Okay, so some things that we can do to help the elementals and the fairies in the garden is we can avoid using chemicals. And the reason that we man-made sort of synthetic chemicals, so to speak, and the reason that we avoid using chemicals is not because they necessarily, you know, poison or hurt the Devic energy. Honey, I'm asking you to keep still, please. She's now patting a dog. Unbelievable. So, and about to put a finger in front of the camera. Oh my God. Working with children, it's very difficult. So the chemicals, what the chemicals do, you know how I told you that the plants grow into a blueprint, and the fairies oversee the growing of the plants, the bringing down of the roots, the growing of the plants. When we have chemicals involved, we actually really disrupt the communication within the plant, and the plant is all like frazzled and confused, and it can't grow properly. So it's very difficult for the fairy elemental energy to be able to help those plants. Now the dog's shuffling her arm. We might actually have to pause this video. Honey, are we going to need to pause it and I'll get Daddy to do it, or are you fine?
Fine.
You're going to keep going? Okay, can you keep still, please?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Okay, so yes, so avoiding chemicals is something that you can absolutely, definitely do. Okay, so the second thing that you can do is plant more flowers. So having a lot of flowers growing around in your garden is very helpful for the Devic energies. It helps them So the flowers, if you can imagine, we're getting very metaphysical here. So maybe this is going to be interesting to some, and a lot of you might think I'm a bit crazy. So, you know, with your chakra system, you have 7 chakras, and you have then your crown chakra at the top. You can imagine with a plant that the crown chakra is actually the flower, the blooming flower. So by having the blooming flowers around, it's a very high frequency energy. So the more we can have blooming flowers around our gardens, the higher the frequency of the energy. This really helps the devas and the elementals by being able to tap into that. It's basically the exact opposite to what chemicals, synthetic chemicals do. So synthetic chemicals frazzle and wreck and disrupt, and the crown blooming energy of a flower is the exact opposite. It stabilizes, it lifts up, it harmonizes, and that's what that does. So no chemicals. Kipper, come here, please. Kipper, come here. Sit down. Just sit. Don't do that. Sit down, the both of you. Oh my God. It's really bad. Really bad. I will be doing a little video about working with animals. I'm not sure Honey will be allowed to film it because she moves away too much. But anyway, okay, so the first thing is to avoid chemicals as best as possible. The second thing is to plant as flowers as best as possible. Now, the third thing, which you know is going to really give you a good laugh, is to be able to, Honey, can you stop it, please? I'm getting very upset with you. You're crossing a boundary here. Is to talk to the fairy energy. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. You can talk to the fairy energy by, lay down, Kippy. Kippy, lay down. Kippy's old and deaf. He doesn't really understand. Lay down. Kipper, lay down. I mean, everyone's just naughty today. That's how it is. Unbelievable. Everybody's naughty today. And I would say that's fairy energy really laughing at that too. Bloody things. Okay, so the first way to talk is as I'm talking to you right now. So you walk around your flowers. I'll give you a little example with this herb robert here. So we can say things like, you know, we can talk to the herb robert and we can just tell it how beautiful it is, and we can look at it and we can say, wow, you know, you're a really beautiful plant, and we can thank the fairies and the devas outright for helping the growing, and wow, you guys, it's really wonderful to work with you. And then you might even ask, you know, can you show me what I might need to do here? Can you help me to understand what you'd like me to do to help you in your work? And the other way to talk is during your meditation practice, your tuning in your deep listening practice, is to be able to just close your eyes and ask and tune into the fairy energy that way. So you don't actually have to be in your garden and with that particular plant in order to communicate with the devas that look after that particular plant. So if I'm having a problem with, say, you know, the plum trees here or the apples or whatever it is, I don't necessarily need to go to that specific apple tree and sit with it and sort of ask it what is going on, and ask its helpers and its guardians, which are the devas, what is going on. I'm able to actually do that from afar. I can do that from absolutely anywhere at all, within my own home, within someone else's home, in a different country. It doesn't, in a different time zone, it doesn't matter. However, if you are new to this, I will say from experience, you will find it much easier if you are able to. So if I'm having a problem with you know, the apples behind me, if I go and sit with those specific apples, it might make it a bit easier for me to be able to communicate with them if I don't have as much experience. I think that's all I have to say today about the Devic energy. So just remember, the devas are gardeners, just like I am, but they're gardening from a different place, just doing a different job. So they're not watering the plants, they're not weeding the plants, they're not harvesting the fruit, they're not making compost and amending soil, whatnots with that compost. They're doing their own work by supporting and helping the plant's growth and health, by supporting and helping that blueprint and the energy of the plant. So that's what they're doing. So we're gardeners, but we're just gardening in a different way. So working with them is a really fabulous idea. Now, what we can do is we can plant more flowers, we can avoid chemicals, and we can talk to them either in the actual garden or somewhere else. And we need to get their guidance, listen to it, and apply it. And this is one thing that you can do to really help your garden and your overall health and well-being, is to connect to the fairy and plant energy. Of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And that's enough for today. Thank you and goodbye.